We'll continue to keep our eyes on how things unfold and keep you informed of the developments as we go on. But now let's check out some of the top trending stories from the courtrooms.
We begin with a report that the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja on Friday dismissed all the 13 counts of money laundering and passport fraud instituted by the federal government against the serving justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Sylvester Nguta. In dismissing the case, the trial judge, Justice John Soho, dismissed the charges against him on the grounds that the preconditions for instituting charges against the judicial officer were not met before charging Justice Nguta. The judge relied on the judgment of the Lagos Division of the Court of Appeal delivered on December the 12th, 2017, which dismissed the corruption charges instituted against the serving judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Hailzera Ngajiwa. The appeal court had dismissed the charges instituted by the EFCC against the Federal High Court judge on the basis that the serving judge could not be investigated or prosecuted without being first disciplined by the National Judicial Council (NJC). Justice Nguta, through his counsel Kanu Agabi, had argued that going by the judgment of the Court of Appeal, the complaints forming the basis of the charges instituted against him ought to have been referred to the NJC. And the Court of Appeal has sentenced to 6 years imprisonment one John Yusuf, one of the 6 federal civil servants facing prosecution for allegedly stealing 32.8 billion naira of police pension fund. The justices of the Court of Appeal unanimously held that the sentence of the trial courts did not serve as deterrence to both the convict and others. They quashed same and sentenced the convicts to 2 years imprisonment with an additional fine of 22.9 billion naira on all the counts. From the Court of Appeal, we move to the Abuja High Court, which has adjourned the trial of former National Security Advisor Colonel Sambo Dasuki in the alleged money laundering charges brought against him by the federal government till May the 2nd and 3rd, 2018. This is in further compliance with the Supreme Court order. A judge of the court, Justice Hussein Baba Yusuf, announced the new trial date in Abuja on Thursday, after being presented with a Supreme Court judgment of March the 2nd, 2018, which ordered an accelerated hearing into the case. However, to ensure effective management of the 2 separate charges against Dasuki and other defendants, the court fixed April the 13th for a pre-trial conference to be attended by the 7 senior lawyers involved in the case, so as to enable them to take a common position on documents from the prosecution and those from the defendants. And in Lagos, a director in the Oyo State Civil Service, Mr. Yinka Fatoki, has testified in the 4.7 billion naira money laundering charge against a former governor of the state, Rashidi Ladoja. The EFCC is prosecuting Ladoja and a former commissioner for finance, Wahid Akombi. The witness told the court he was the executive secretary of the Bureau of Investment and Public-Private Partnership in Oyo State, and in 2007, when the alleged offences were committed, he was an acting director of investment promotion in the state's Ministry of Commerce. The witness further testified that in March 2007, the state government decided to sell some of its shareholdings in about 7 banks, and Fountain Securities Limited was appointed portfolio manager. According to the witness, the government which succeeded Governor Ladoja, however, found the report of this state of accounts made by Fountain Securities curious and subsequently commissioned an investigation. The report of the investigation necessitated a petition to the EFCC. Under cross-examination, the witness also testified that the investigation indicated that the sale of shares were done illegally. Justice Mohammed Idris adjourned the case until April the 12th and 13th for continuation of trial. And we round off with the report that the senior advocate of Nigeria, Ricky Tarfa, has opened his defense on allegations of offering gratification to judges, alleged willful obstruction of EFCC officials, refusal to declare assets, and given false information to a public officer by lying about his age. One of his witnesses, a lawyer, Mr. Mohammed Awal Yunusa, told Justice Adedayo Akintoye that he owns the account into which the sum of 225,000 naira was deposited. The EFCC had alleged that Mr. Tarfa paid the money into the account of Justice Mohammed Yunusa as gratification. The lawyer, whose name is similar to that of the judge, says he was a former employee of Mr. Ricky Tarfa, and after leaving the job, the SAN gifted him the 225,000 naira to support his further education.
And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode of Law Weekly. Do feel free to send in your comments via any of our social media handles. You can also watch this episode of the program or past ones on our YouTube channel. I'm Shola Sheyeli. Thank you for watching.